Welcome to State of Business on our television. I'm Ashingsani Veerasinghe. Let's have a look at the headlines for today. Vote on account for the first quarter of next year passed in Parliament. Sri Lanka Air Force says all set for the annual Air Symposium in Colombo. News in detail. The vote on account for the state expenditure for the first 4 months of 2020 was passed in Parliament today. The vote on account sought the Parliament's approval to spend a total of 1,470 billion rupees and approval to limit obtaining of loans to 721 billion rupees. As the presidential election is scheduled for the 16th of November this year, the decision of a vote on account was approved at the cabinet meeting held on the 3rd of August and it was presented in Parliament today. Accordingly, Finance Minister Mangala Samaraweera tabled the vote on account of 1,470 billion rupees for the first 4 months of 2020.
Mr. Chairman, I tabled the vote on account 2020, first, second and third schedules. For the first time since the 1950s, Sri Lanka was able to show primary surplus balance in 2017 of 1.6. In fact, we again showed a surplus last year in 2018 and this year also, despite all these challenges. As you know, from the day this government came into power, we had many challenges. In 2016, a serious drought. In 2017, a serious flood. 2018, the constitutional coup, and this year, the Easter tragedy. But despite all that, even 2019 will show a primary balance of at least 0.6%.
Finance Minister Mangala Samaraweera, while presenting vote on account for the first quarter of the next year, also briefed about some amendments to the existing acts.
Presently, there is no provision in the excise ordinance for the police officers to initiate proceedings before a magistrate against the offender on matters pertaining to illicit liquor. Therefore, it has resulted in a rapid increase in the trade and consumption of illicit liquor in most parts of the country. Accordingly, Section 35 and 52 of the excise ordinance will be amended to authorize police officers to take legal actions on matters pertaining to illicit liquor.
Finance Minister Mangala Samaraweera also told the Parliament that amendments should be brought on the present tax system.
We are presenting is the piece-based VAT rate. The piece-based VAT rate applicable on domestic sale of certain garments by the export-oriented BOI companies will be increased from 75 to rupees 100. Value of imported goods, the Minister of Finance will be authorized to prescribe the basis for the chargeability of VAT of certain goods specified by Minister by regulations. Payment date of VAT. VAT payment date presently fall on 15th, 20th and last date of the month following each month of a taxable period is inconvenient for the taxpayers as well as the tax administration. Considering the requests of the taxpayers, the VAT payment date will be changed to 20th day of the month following the month relevant to such payment. Locally produced rice bran oil manufactured out of locally produced rice will be exempted from VAT. 5. VAT on the supply of condominium housing units. Unit price of each condominium housing unit of a condominium housing project does not exceed 25 million.
Minister Samaraweera also briefed the lawmakers over the plans by the government on newly introduced carbon tax.
The carbon tax, which has been imposed under the Finance Act number 35 of 2018, will be abolished effective from 1st of December 2018.
Meanwhile, COPE Committee Chairman Parliamentarian Sunil Handunnetty also presented its report on 23 public enterprises including Ceylon Petroleum Corporation, Football Association, Road Development Authority and Ports Authority. He also made a request in Parliament to allow the officials from the Attorney General Department to be officially present at the COPE Committee sessions. He stressed that such a process will provide evidence for the officials to directly process with their legal actions. The Colombo Air Symposium 2019, the annual international academic forum of the Sri Lanka Air Force, organized for the 5th consecutive time, will begin tomorrow. Senior Research Fellow at Australian National University, Professor David Brewster, will grace the symposium as a chief guest, while more than 40 foreign delegates from over 20 countries are to participate for the event.
The conference, organized by Sri Lanka Air Force, will be held under the theme A Small Air Force Way Forward in Achieving Future Vision at the Eagles Lakeside Banquet and Conventional Hall in Athiria tomorrow. Intellectuals, diplomats, military leaders, policymakers, and technological experts are also expected to attend the event. Thus, the objective of the event is to address the future of small Air Force units in addressing challenges which require wider understanding and stronger collaborations.
Now we are having this conference for the fifth consecutive time, and from the first one, this conference has grown from smaller to a bigger scale, where the first conference was held only with the local participation. Now there are participants from more than 25 countries and 50 personnel in numbers. So the Colombo Air Force is the only forum that international experts in the profession of aviation and local intellectuals gather in one forum to Sri Lanka to decide and discuss the future aviation in the Asia Pacific region.
Stay tuned for more news after this short break. Welcome back, and now let's move on to the daily dose of political news from the Next President segment. Criticizing the present government's commitment towards the local farmer, SLPP presidential candidate Gotabaya Rajapaksa vows to assist both the industrialist and the local farmer under a new government of him. SLPP presidential candidate Gotabaya Rajapaksa made these political pledges addressing a presidential campaign rally at Batapola in Galle yesterday.
අපිට සෑම ශේෂ්ත්‍රයකින්ම අපි පසුගිය අවුරුදු 4 තුල මේ රටේ බුද්ධිමතුන්
We have formulated the policies by consulting the professionals, entrepreneurs and experts. Not only that, we also have a proper team to execute the proposals. We have policies to implement career-oriented education. Not only that, we also have proposals to uplift the local farmer. This government has forgotten the local farmer, but we will launch measures to strengthen both the industrialist and the local farmer. All the taxes on agriculture will be removed. Therefore, we need to be abundant with food productions and local cultivations.
Brushing off accusations levelled against the Ministry of Primary Industries and Social Empowerment over violating the election laws, Minister of Primary Industries and Social Empowerment Dayagamage states that the schemes like Samurdhi provisions are not part of the election campaigning and solely development-oriented. Thus, Minister responded to these allegations last morning while addressing a media briefing. Over a complaint received to the Election Commission, officers of the Election Commission ransacked an election violation affiliated to the Ministry of Primary Industries and Social Empowerment last Monday. Thus, it was found that cheques of 1 million each to be distributed to over 100 Samurdhi managers had been lined up. Meanwhile, a media briefing was conducted by the Minister of Primary Industries and Social Empowerment Dayagamage yesterday in order to respond to these allegations. He noted that the budget for this year was approved in April due to the constitutional coup of the latter part of the last year. An amount allocated for the developmental programs should be given before the year finishes. Thus, Minister noted that the first stage of allocating Samurdhi benefits has already taken place and that the remaining is to be given at the latter part of the year. Explaining further, Minister highlighted that initially it was planned to distribute all the Samurdhi benefits in October, but as per the election laws, it was halted and the remaining Samurdhi benefits will be given after November 17th and before the end of November. Thus, he asserted that the Samurdhi provision is only aimed at developing the country and giving a helping hand for those in need and not for the political gains. The Election Commission states that around 1,200 complaints over election violence were reported till yesterday from the day of nominations. Meanwhile, it is reported that over 100 complaints over election violence were received by the Elections Commission yesterday. Thus, the Election Commission states that 1,359 complaints were received over the election violence from October 8th to yesterday. The Commission states that 10 complaints of acts of violence are reported so far. However, only one complaint over act of violence was reported yesterday. Nevertheless, the election monitoring body PAFREL states that 166 election violations are reported so far, while 152 complaints have been lodged. Out of the reported 166 election violations, 71 are confirmed and 16 cases are not yet confirmed. Thus, 6 complaints are related to acts of violence with 8 incidents of election law violations. A total of 2 hospitalizations have been reported to date. Moving on to more business news. V17 Pro, Vivo's latest innovative smartphone, was unveiled in Sri Lanka last week. The flagship model is the latest addition to the V series and premieres the world's first 32-megapixel dual-elevating front camera.
Accordingly, the Vivo V17 Pro flagship smartphone device has not just one but 2 front cameras. The dual 32 megapixels and super wide angle cameras add a new perspective to selfies, and super wide angle camera extends the view to 105 degrees, capturing wider landscape. The device comes with 8 GB RAM and 128 GB ROM and will be available in crystal black.
We are having our V17 Pro media launch. Key feature of our device is this time we are launching up with the world's first 32 megapixel pop-up selfie camera. Though the pop-up is a little bit famous these days, but we have started our new mechanism, a dual pop-up camera. So in the elevation, there is 2 cameras. One is 32 megapixel, another one is an 8 megapixel camera. On the rear side, we have a quad pixel. It's 48 megapixel camera. And the main feature about this is that how you manage your selfies in your low light conditions. So how clearer and brighter it is. So this phone will be giving you a revolutionary thought about how you can take selfies, and also some of the key features like pose masters, where you tend to pose according to it. The object also suits according to that tension.
Stay tuned for stock updates after this short break. Welcome back after the break. Trading at Colombo Stock Exchange ended on a mixed note today. The all share price index gained 7.94 points to close at 5,888.34, and the S&P SL 20 dropped 4.42 points to close at 2,922.35. The turnover was 472 million rupees and over 32 million shares were traded. Up next are forex rates. That's all the news for today. Join us tomorrow at the same time. Until then, take care. Good night.